Alafia, welcome to the Power of You, where you and me, Yeyefini Efunbolade, the director of the International Institute of African Studies and Knowledge, as well as the president of Yeyefini.com. Today, we want to talk about reminding us that the power exists within us, the power to be great. Today, I want to talk about every disappointment is God's appointment. Trusting the closed door. In our lives, and if you're experiencing this now, and if you're not, you have experienced it before, and or if not, you will experience it down the road, is that life is full of twists and turns. If you listen to my CD, it says, in the beginning, I was lonely and afraid, and it was talking about the twists and turns of Obatala's life. So today we're talking about the trusting the closed door. In our lives, sometimes we're faced with situations where we have worked hard, we've pushed through, we've done the right words, we've done the right education, we've connected with the right people, we've done our homework, we've passed the test, and then we get there and the door is closed. Like you got there too late, or either Spirit had someone else to get it, and you're like, what happened to me? I thought I was just going to really roll on this. Maybe God forgot me. Maybe the rituals that I didn't take effect. And we can start self-doubting and believing ourselves. Today, stop it. Today, you're in a place of knowing, believing, and seeing why every disappointment is God's appointment. When we think that we are this little fly that God does not look out for, God sees every particular thing because there's a bigger plan. That can you imagine in the making of human beings and in the making of life and the evolution of life, God had the genius to sit down and design a cockroach? Can you imagine? And we're still trying to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of the cockroach? But there's a process. If it's only to feed a bird, because I see my chickens love them. But we always are looking for the big things sometimes. I know for me, I like to see the big things, the end of it. Oh my God, this has value because it shows that all the work that I've done is showed up. Sometimes it's the little bitty things that you never think that it's going to be the thing that's going to bring you the biggest rewards. So trusting the closed door. Don't worry that if you right now you're at this, and the power of you is strategically put at 12 o'clock in the daytime so that you can have that little time that you can put away from your job, from your work. Do it on your lunch hour. And if you're living in recording, if you're listening in recording, then just do it whenever it's convenient to you. But to trust the doors when they're closed is to trust that you know that you need a little more patience. Doors close to change our direction. Sometimes we're so happily moving because we're certain that everything is going to turn out. We said the right words. We wore the right colors. We did the right rituals. We did the meditation. We did all of that. And then it comes to a stop. Because the universe is closing the door to shift your direction to where you're going. Because the direction that you're going is for a higher purpose, is for a divine mission, is for you to be the example. You are this perfect thing, perfect person, perfect reality that God has placed you on earth to do, to be, and to have for the world. Can you imagine? You are the genius that's been waiting for. So the direction that you're going, if you stop and it changes, know that this is God's way of letting you know that every disappointment is God's appointment. When you're disappointed, it means that you had all hope. You put everything in there, and God is just watching you. Universe is just watching you. Olodumare is just watching you. Ifa is just watching you. Eshu is just watching you. Whatever the forces of nature that you call yourself, and know that it makes connected to the supreme God, or the energy of the universe. You have done everything you possibly could to just put everything in there and be the good person and be the one that you thought it was a done deal. And the direction changed. So God is watching, the universe is watching. Everything is encouraging you. The little signs, the synchronicities, everything is telling you, go ahead, move forward, you're in the right way. And when that happens, It's because God is getting ready to give you a big assignment. The disappointment is that you are disappointed because you thought what you were doing was enough or was the only way. And God is like, no, this is not the only way. My way is going to be the bigger way because I know the beginning, the middle, and the ending of every situation. Can you imagine it? That when you came on earth, you knew exactly what you wanted to do, what you came to do, and we get distracted and forget. And this is God's way. This is the Orisha's way. This is the ancestors' way of saying you, wait a minute. We're watching you doing all of this. So we know that you got managerial skills. You have the ability to be eloquent. You have the ability to get along with people. And we are now showing you that this is a perfect person. Obatala, the Orisha, God says, this is a perfect example of what it means to be committed, what it means to be devoted, what it means to be an excellent steward. So when you get the disappointment, it's because you're looking at it here and God is looking at it here. It's going to be a bigger reward. So the disappointment comes that you as a human, you're doing the work to please yourself and the universe. But the main thing is that you want to find recognition, acknowledgement, reward. And God is like, I'm giving you something bigger. You're settling for the little picture, and I have something bigger. So every disappointment is God's appointment. The disappointment comes when you and God are on the wrong telephone line. You're in the local, he's on international, or she's on international. God is on international wavelength. You're waiting for the local call. And so through the good times, you got to go through bad times as well, and good times again. So things looking good and you're planning, but then they go sour. But they go sour so that you can know what not to do when the good part comes again. There's an Odu that is a ritual that you do, that you invite all of your friends in. I think it's Odishe, that you invite people to your house and your family and your members of the family, and you first serve them something bitter. No, you sell them something sweet. So you can give them some candy or something, right? And then the next course is something bitter. Right? You give them some pickles and things, and then you come back with the main course. It means that everything that may start sweet, it gets bitter, and then it gets to the full rewards. So when we go through something that is hard, God lets us know. It wants us to know that when you go through something hard, it's because you're getting ready to go on to land on a soft place. So you have to have the hard. So when soft comes, you can be, oh, so that's what soft feels like. So don't give up, my friend. Do not give up on knowing that every disappointment is God's appointment. There's a bigger reason for it. Yes, maturity, living and seeing some of those examples is the thing that gives us the courage and gives us the hope to keep going. I'm going to share with you out of my book, The Living Shrine, of when I learned about God's disappointment being my appointment, of being my disappointment was God's assignment. Okay, it's on page 118, and the chapter is Wife or Concubine. This was when I was when I was first getting married to my children's father, and I had to do it in 28 days. This was an incredible, stressful time for me. On top of everything, my baby was sick. At the time of our arrival in Oyotunji, my son's name was Omoladun. He would later be renamed Shango Obanike after his initiation to Shango at 4 years old. I was extremely sick when I delivered him and had a C-section. He had to stay in the hospital for a while and was fed soy milk. When he came home, my milk had dried up through pills from the hospital. During the 28 days that I was supposed to be getting ready to be married, and I spoke about the marriage earlier in the chapter, I decided I had to decide within 28 days to marry the king or leave the village, because There were no single women that were allowed to stay in the village. They had to become a king, the wife of the king, a concubine. And so during the 28 days when I had to decide what to do, I bonded with my son tremendously. It was just me and him against the world. Before making the final decision to marry the king, I took the baby and walked up the road to the village, from the village where there was a grocery store and a public phone. I called my mother and told her I was going to stay in the village and that I was going to marry this man. I could hear her disappointment span the hundreds of miles between us. She told me I was stupid and that I was a disappointment to the family. She told me if I wanted to marry this man, I should give my son to my sister who did not have children because she was married and could raise him better. There was no way I was giving away my baby, who I wanted so badly. He was no accident, no mistake. He was planned, and I wanted nothing but him. I refused her request and made my final decision to marry the king. Once the decision was made, I had 3 days to prepare for this marriage. Frightening. The disappointment of coming and being in the village and looking for a place where I would be initiated and I would find joy, and that I was forced into the rules of engagement. But I made the decision because I had nowhere else to go. I made the decision that I thought that I had nowhere to go. But the bigger picture of it is by marrying the king, staying in the village, having my children. It gave me the opportunity for me to learn this faith, learn this culture, and to be able to be of service. And so the disappointment of going to the village and not being able to, have the life that I wanted to, read the book, is some fabulous stuff. At the end of the day, my disappointment of not marrying the person that I thought I was going to marry, because we came south together and that was what the plan was. And the person said, no, I'm not interested in marrying her. And so the king says, well, she has to marry me. And within 28 days, I had to make a decision. And I made the decision because I had nowhere else to go, I thought. But I made the decision because in the back of my mind, I knew there was something good that was going to come out. My son was safe, I was safe, and I was around people that had African names and trying to build something this here diaspora. I said, oh, I stayed because I knew that I never wanted my child to be raised in the city with a key around his neck. I came because I did not want my children to learn how to read and write from people that didn't look like them. But the disappointment was that I had nowhere that I could turn to. And I was disappointed that the plans that I had to come and to live in a way that I anticipated did not turn out. But at the end of the day, look at my disappointment turned out to be God's appointment. Because as I stayed and I studied the faith and I moved through the different channels of politics and politricks and all of the other thing that goes with being married, being in polygamy, bonding with women and finding the beauty that comes from when you respect women and work with women towards a common goal, you find out that love is something that can be found in every way that you can. You can love a sister that's married to your husband. You can love people that you have had difficulties with and you end up being their godmother and initiating them. You can have situations where you come to realize that you can take stones and plates and draw pictures on it and sell it to the tourists to pay for your abos. I learned so much. I learned this culture. I learned this tradition. I learned the language out of making that disappointment of not having anywhere else to go and just feeling that this is just a bust. Today, the work that I'm doing is because the disappointment was God's appointment. I did not marry that man because it was not for me to be. That disappointment catapulted me into a place where I ended up marrying the king, having children with him, and ending up knowing this culture backwards and forwards. That today, my entire life is about empowering the people to empower themselves. It's to share and to teach and to encourage everyone so that you don't have to go through perhaps as hard as I went through in just trying to find a place that could be my source of devotion. So every disappointment is God's appointment. Things that may look like a door was closed, it was wide open. It was wide open. I had a hard place to come in this culture, but I ended up a soft place. Look at me today, doing God's work, something that I love, and I wake up every morning and try to find a way that I could do even more. So today I just want to remind you that trust when you don't know what else to do. Trust that there is something that's going to take you through the dark times, the rough times. Know that in whatever you're going through, God has an appointment for you. There's a date and a time and a location and the perfect godparent and the perfect students and the perfect alignment for what it is that you want to do. And your life become a swinging door, a place where you can open the roads for some and release them when they're ready to go. Open up the roads for others and release again. It is a beautiful place to see that. It is a beautiful place to see that you can cause change. And you yourself are changing, because I've grown since that. This is a 23-year-old girl reading this from when we're in this book. The innocence of just the awe, just trusting and blindly going and trusting that hopefully something will end up being. So when you don't know anything, trust when you don't know what's the next thing. Trust it, because God has got an appointment for you. So today I want you to remember, no matter how rough it seems, where you think that you're disappointed, the marriage didn't work out, the relationship didn't work out, you had the miscarriage, you had a fight, you're in just coming out of jail, you're in a place where you feel that the world is against you. That disappointment, God got a plan for you. If God had the time to make a cockroach, God has the time to plan for you, strategize for you. Getting right now in this moment is getting all of the people together to get on that road with you. Line them up so that they will be there the day that you call, the day that you happen to open the door, the person that's holding the door as you're going in, you say, hey, and you make a connection, and next thing you know, you're the head of that company. That is possible. Today, I declare that everything that you're doing right now that seems like it's a disappointment, it's God's appointment. So know that today, as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because God is with me. So do that today as we hold you into this perfect light of Obatala. So I want you to take this moment to just do a little 3-minute breath, breathing in and letting it go. Breathing in again, breathing in slowly, and letting it go. Breathing in again, and letting it out. Obatala, Obatasi. Clear and divine light. Clear and powerful light. Clear energy of assurance. Clear energy of divine light and power known as Obatala. Today, I anoint you with Obatala's balm. I anoint you with Obatala's love. I anoint you with Obatala's endurance. And I pour down the ability to understand, to see, to comprehend that God is in the midst of your life right now. Obatala is in the midst of your life right now. Elekba Oshun, Shongo Aganju, Osain, Orisha Oko, Dadaye Wa, Obatala, Ifa. All forces of nature are with you right now. I want you to visualize that white light coming through the bottom of your feet and to the top of your head, and just allowing that to be a ray of light that go through your body. Feel that light. Feel that energy of compassion. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Y'all have a wonderful day. And carry that light, that white light with you throughout the day. Knowing that you are no disappointment. You are God's appointment. See you again at Yeyefini.com to join our Ore IIASK family for support, for classes, for worship services. You have a blessed day. Odabo.